He drew in a deep breath, slipped the phone back into his pocket, and kept walking. His shoes tapped steadily against the bricks. No rush, no stumble. When he got home, he shut his bedroom door and pulled the curtains closed. Darkness filled the room except for the faint glow of the wall screen. John sat down, leaning against the chair, hands clasped together. No sobs. No complaints. His eyes were steady, lit with a sharp glint. "They had to sacrifice their lives just to cripple my potential," he muttered, voice low. "That means they're terrified of me to their core." His chest rose and fell, then slowly eased. He shut his eyes. A soft tick sounded inside his mind, like a hidden system powering on. A floating panel appeared before his eyes. Ability: Legendary Chicken Breeder, Rank B. Number of chickens you can raise: 1/1 blessing of the legendary breeder. The chicken you raise will break past its species limits. Master Link: the breeder gains 50% of all stats from the chicken. John opened his eyes, reading every glowing word. His lips curled into a smile, bitter yet tinged with excitement. Rank B? Chickens? He let out a quiet laugh. The perfect joke, except this joke is actually SSS in disguise. After the laugh faded, his gaze sharpened. Nothing left to regret. The next day, John began combing the city. From tiny chicken pens in the suburban markets to the industrial farms out on the outskirts, he visited them all. A 17-year-old in his school uniform standing among the stench of droppings and the endless clucks, looking both out of place and strangely resolute. Kid, looking to buy a chicken? What kind? A farmer asked, curious. John just shook his head. I only want to look. Look? Weird kid. The man shrugged and left him to it. John walked row after row of cages, scanning the hundreds of fluffy yellow chicks chirping nonstop. They all looked the same. Nothing special. The first day passed, empty-handed. The second day he went again. Mud clung to his shoes, the smell to his clothes, but his eyes never wavered. On the third day he arrived at a large farm on the outskirts. The sound of clucking rolled out in waves, cages packed full. Amid the crowded mass of chicks, one blazing red spot caught his gaze, a tiny rooster chick, smaller than his palm, yet standing proud. Every time another chick neared the feed, it pecked ferociously, driving the rest back. Atop its head, a tuft of feathers glowed red like a flickering flame, strikingly vivid against the sea of pale yellow. This one, John whispered, eyes flashing. The farmer chuckled. That little guy's trouble. Always picking fights, bullying the others. Folks say he's too wild to raise. John crouched, eyes locked on the tiny creature. Amid the noisy chorus of chirps, he heard only the fierce pounding in his chest. This is it. This is my partner. He reached a finger through the bars. The chick tilted its head, round eyes gleaming with defiance, and struck with a sharp peck. The sting in his fingertip was small but solid. John laughed. Not loud, not long, but full of relief and resolve. It's you. The farmer blinked. You really want that one? Yes. John nodded, gaze still fixed on the chick. After paying, he carried the small cage outside. The afternoon sun spilled down on the thin boy's face. Inside the cage, the fiery tufted rooster chick flapped its wings and screeched with unruly pride. John Marcus looked at the arrogant little bird. To him, it wasn't just a fragile animal. It was his partner, the missing half of his strength. With his knowledge from Earth, and this creature of limitless potential, he would begin again. Hold still, bro. John Marcus set the fluffy chick with a tuft of red down onto the table, his finger tapping lightly against the wood. The chick tilted its head, eyes gleaming with a fierce spark. Little fire, he chuckled softly. That'll be your name. Small flame, but one day you'll burn into a sea of fire. The chick chirped like it agreed, stomping its tiny feet all over the place. John's tone shifted, eyes sharpening. Time to start the training plan. He pulled a box of premium beef from the drawer. The fluorescent light reflected off the dark red meat. The grinder roared, a low grinding noise, until the beef turned into a smooth paste. John scooped a spoonful, mixed it into crushed feed, and a strange meaty smell quickly spread through the room. Little Fire caught the scent and whipped its head around, eyes flashing with suspicion. It pecked once, then stopped, chirping in protest. John leaned his chin on his hand, lips curling. Don't like it? Too bad. If you want to get strong, you can't be picky. First day, the chick ate reluctantly. By the third day, it started sniffing out the bits with meat. By the end of the week, it was diving at the bowl, fighting for every piece, ignoring the greens. In the cramped dorm room, empty cans piled high, notes plastered across the wall. John scribbled down every stat. Day 12, add 0.2 grams of meat. Day 15, eating speed up 30%. Time passed, and the room looked more like a mad scientist's lab than a dorm. One night, John sat at the desk, eyes following Little Fire's every move. Today's portion had way more meat. The chick tore into it, beak-tapping rapid fire, then suddenly its body trembled. It's here, huh? John leaned in, eyes blazing. A faint green light wrapped around the tiny body. Feathers quivered, its breathing grew heavy. The air thickened, like a thin current of spiritual energy slipping in. Inside John's head, a sharp ting rang out. A glowing panel popped up. Your chick has absorbed enough high-level energy. Hidden potential activated. Ting! Little Fire has broken past its species limit, successfully evolving its stomach. Ability to absorb protein from meat increased 500%. Food capacity increased 1,000%. We did it! John clenched his fist, whisper slipping out into the quiet backyard. Sweat slid down his temple, but his lips curled with excitement. Right after that moment, the physical training plan officially began. He scavenged scrap iron from the nearby workshop, sawing and filing each piece into small blocks. The sound of metal against stone rang sharp, sparks flying across his face, his eyes growing firmer in the glow. Little Fire, come here. He beckoned. The tiny yellow chick waddled over, eyes still innocent. John wrapped the iron blocks with old cloth, then tied them to its legs, body, even the wings. Little Fire twisted and stumbled. Its legs gave out, crashing face first, wings flapping wildly in protest. Patience. You can do it. John crouched, pressing a steady hand against its back. The pounding heartbeat under the soft down made him pause. This little life felt just like a spark, fragile yet brimming with explosive power. First day, Little Fire could barely walk. It wobbled, toppled, sometimes furiously pecking at the straps. John never untied them, only stood nearby with a thin smile. Go on. The more you fall, the faster you'll stand back up. Days passed, and the change showed. Its steps grew louder, stronger, even able to run laps around the yard with the iron weights dragging behind. Every time it flapped, though clumsy, the gust swept up dry leaves on the ground. John recalculated the weight, adding a little more each week. Time slipped by. Under the setting sun, Little Fire's figure transformed. From a fluffy chick, it became strangely solid. When John stroked its back, the smooth feathers couldn't hide the tight muscles beneath, firm as stone. Its eyes changed, too, once round and naive, now sharp, carrying a light that made John freeze. Whenever it looked at him, deep in its pupils a faint flame seemed to flicker. Like a torch smoldering inside. You've really changed, he muttered, strapping on another ring of iron. Little Fire clucked once, then dashed off to test it, muscles flexing, movements sharp enough to make John squint. One afternoon, John decided to try real combat. He led Little Fire to the corner coop, where several grown roosters strutted and flapped, infamous for their aggression. Any intruder got swarmed with pecks. All right, let's see what you can do. He unlatched the wooden gate, motioning inside. Little Fire stepped in, iron weights still dangling from its body. The roosters ruffled their feathers, then charged like little cannonballs. In that instant, the golden blur shot forward. Little Fire didn't retreat. Its legs kicked off, wings tucked tight, body slamming straight through. A loud smack echoed in the yard. One rooster rolling head over tail. Not bad. John gave a slight nod, eyes flashing. The brawl didn't last long. The little chick spun, pecking and kicking, its movements quick and sharp, nothing like its tiny body suggested. Feathers flew everywhere. The roosters, twice its size, went down one after another, squawking as they scrambled to escape. When the dust settled, Little Fire still stood in the middle of the yard, breathing steady, eyes glowing red under the sunset. The heavy iron weights didn't slow it down. If anything, they made its stance firmer. John stared in silence, the corner of his mouth slowly curving. In his gaze wasn't just satisfaction, but a rare flicker of memory. "You really look like a warrior." His voice shook faintly, like he was whispering to the past. Little Fire's figure in the wind blurred with a hazy memory. He remembered a creature from his previous life, one that appeared on a game screen, a small firebird named Torchic, also called Akamo. John froze in the yard, his hand still resting on Little Fire's back. The image of victory over the roosters hadn't even faded before another shape surfaced in his mind. "Achamo," he murmured, his brow creasing. A memory from another life. That little firebird in the game, with its next form called Wakashamo.